Okay, so hello to everyone. So this is our fourth lecture for space planning 2. So malapit na tayong mag-midterms. So this is our last topic for this half of term. Tapos magpo-proceed tayo sa second half. So our topic is user analysis. So we've done the space organization, the the organizational chart, and then the functional analysis, and now the user analysis. So, ano ba yung tawag nating users or yung occupants? So, users and occupants plays an important role in space planning. So, silang nagdidictate ng dimensions nyo. If we can recall the occupant loads na ginagawa natin, we compute them sa quantitative analysis, di ba? We compute the number of users sa occupant load. So silang nagdidikta kung gaano magiging kalaki ang iyong space, or your space will dictate how many users can occupy the area. So kunyari, if you've already done a 2 by 2, ilan lang ang kakasya doon. Depende again sa function and activity sa loob. Okay, users and occupants also helps you in space identification kasi sa kanila ang manggagaling yung activities. So each activities there must be a certain space or area na corresponding para dito. And then sa kanila din manggagaling yung adjacency of space kasi yung flow nila, yung galaw ng users natin, doon mo makikita kung ano-anong mga spaces yung dapat magkakatabi para smooth yung flow nila at hindi sila mahihirapan sa paggalaw dun sa area. So, occupants are the major elements that a designer must think of when designing because the goal of each floor plan is to produce comfort. Syempre, yun yung una nating tina-target. The users must be comfortable inside your structure. And to give ease on, syempre dapat easy ang circulation, workability of your users, and the performance of each user properly. So, lalo na if this is a workspace at hindi lang magre-relax si user, kailangan yung kanyang activities and na-perform niya or yung kanyang function or kanyang work mismo should function properly with your spaces. So, hindi siya yung magigit-git. He can move freely. He can move smoothly. The gadgets, the furnitures, the equipments and machines that the user will need andoon na sa space na i-design mo at magkakasya siya at the same time the activity that will happen. So, we have this what we call the behavioral pattern or the flow of charts. So in identifying the adjacency requirements ng ating spaces, tinitingnan natin kung ano yung major activities at minor activities ngayon ni user. So syempre ang isang tao, madami siyang activities sa isang araw, madami siyang ginagawa sa isang lugar. We should categorize ano ba yung pinaka-major activities niya at ano yung minor activities niya. Again, if you can remember the functional analysis that we've done last time, example natin yung sa kitchen, we divide it into zones. So we divide it into the major activities bago natin inalam yung mga minor activities. So ganun ang ginagawa natin to identify ano yung mga spaces na dapat adjacent sa isa't isa. So, next is our data collection. So, who will be using the building? Sino ba ang gagamit? Ang lagi natin tanong when we are collecting the data, we should know who will be using the building and what is his behavior, work behavior o ano yung activity niya. Kasi kapag dinesign mo siya na wala kang target user sa utak, medyo mahirap or sometimes dun ka mapupulaanan na hindi naman siya nakafit doon eksakto kay user na gagamit sa kanya. Kaya nga minsan mahirap yung mga rentable spaces na nag-aabang ka na agad ng mga partitions. Kung mapapansin nyo, yung mga narerentahan na units, wala they just make it an open plan so that the user or yung magrerenta sa kanila They can tailor fit it with the partitions based sa behavior nung um, work na gagamit or ng function nung magre-rent sa kanila. So, lagi natin tinatanong yan, sino ba ang gagamit ng building? At paano niya gagamitin yung building? Hindi yung we only assume na uh, ito lang yung ito na yung general ako lang or basta lang ako magde-design. Hindi basta-basta ganyan. In architecture, always remember you should always think of your users. Um, Pag nagdi-design ka, minsan bonus na lang kung makakasingil ka talaga ng malaki. If you're an architect, the best reward na experience ko talaga is who will be who will the best experience na experience ko is yung makaka-receive ako ng messages, compliments from the users or the owners that they really love what I designed. So yun lagi ang target natin. The users and the owners should feel comfortable with your design or sulit na sulit. Wala uh, yung maiinis sila because of the the flow ng activity sa loob. Yan din naman nakikita ko pagdating sa mga renovations or yung mga bago pa yung building pero may mga pinapa-edit na sila agad kasi they are not satisfied with the spaces sa paligid nila. So, move ko lang yung sarili ko sa taas. Yun. So, different users, and especially for syempre iba-iba ang mga tao. And bawat user, they have different activities. Pwedeng ako, ibang activities ko sa ibang faculty. Pwedeng kayo, as students, personally, iba yung activity mo dun sa kaklase mo. So, we just analyze or categorize them. So, example, we can user A can have multiple activities in your space or in your building while user B only has one activity. So we can group them based on their activities. Pwede natin silang i-group bago natin iplano. So kunyari, lahat ng may multiple activities, that's one group. And then the next one is isang activity lang, another group. So, isang example natin yung sa restaurant na ginawa nyo last plate. So, we can say that those who have multiple activities are yung restaurant staff. And for customers, they only have one activity dun sa loob ng restaurant, which is to eat. Samantalang si restaurant staff, they have to do different activities. So, ano-ano yun? So, example mo natin, mag-start tayo kay customers flow chart or behavioral pattern. So, upon entry, papasok si user ay si customer, anong gagawin niya? Pagpasok mo syempre ng restaurant, you would look for the best table. Yung maganda yung tapat ng aircon, not too cold, not too hot. And then, depende sa preference niya. Ako, personally, I wanted more privacy when I eat. So, ayoko ng maraming tao. Nasa-stress ako pag maraming tao. So, I try to sit on corners, on sides, na walang masyadong nasa paligid ko. Lalo na yung sobrang ingay. Ayoko nang may mga maiingay. So, I would look for a location na malayo dun sa mga long tables o yung maraming upuan and then nasa corner. So, if ganun yung type ng customer natin, and then, I will check on the menu ano bang ordering ko or sometimes naman kasi pag when you go to the restaurant and suki ka na alam mo na agad kung anong yung order mo if you especially if you're craving for something pero syempre kung bago ka pa lang you would check for on the menu or yung hindi mo pa talaga alam yung gusto mo kainin check mo lang and then if it's a type of restaurant na yung waiter kukuha ng order mo you would give the order sa waiter kung hindi naman you would line up sa cashier and order your food. So, pagkayari mo na siyang ma-order or magbigay yung order mo, you would wait for your food. Siyempre, ando ka na sa upuan. And then, ito na yung pinakamatagal when you are in a restaurant, especially if you're very hungry, yung paghihintay sa pagkain. Kaya nga sometimes, customers and cashiers would inform you kung gaano katagal niluluto or it would take time if for your food to arrive sa table sa harap mo or para makain mo. Syempre pag dumating na yung pagkain, you would eat your food or if I was if you're with someone, you would talk or you would have conversations or kung may hinihintay ka, so do whatever you want. And then, you ask for billing and pay. Pag patapos na. If this is again a restaurant na in-ordered, again depende sa restaurant So you would pay and then lalabas ka na. Or for others, kung sa counter pa lang, sa cashier pa lang nabayaran na si food, after eating, they would just exit. So ito yung usual traditional customers flow chart. So I guess everyone knows this kasi siguro naman lahat tayo naging customer. Mapakarenderya man yan, fast food, cafe, or a fancy restaurant. Ito naman the restaurant staff's flow chart. So ito yung may mga multiple activities. So example for the waiters. So ang waiter natin they have different task. So the first thing or pinaka madalas nilang gawin is to get the order of the customer. Pag nakuha nila si order, they will give the order to the counter. They will get food from their kitchen and then serve sa customer. Tapos, check nila minsan si customer if they need more services or minsan tatawagan sila ni customer kunyari they wanted additional water, extra rice or utensils na dagdag, and then they will collect the payment and give sa cashier kung again sa preference ng restaurant na to and then clean the table. So madami silang nagiging task. Sometimes yung ma- ibang waiters nakahati na rin sila. There are waiters who would only get your orders. There are waiters who would only clean tables. There are waiters who would only serve food. And there are waiters who would check on you from time to time. So meron din tayong minsan nakikita natin some restaurants, pagpasok mo pa lang, magpapakilala na agad si waiter and ibig sabihin nun, sinasabi nila na sila yung dapat mong tawagin for the whole duration of your stay o sila yung bahala sa'yo. So, kunyari, ang nangyayari, one waiter, one customer or two customers. So, yun lang yung kanyang binabantayan, which is good kasi hindi malilito ngayon si customer kung sino yung tatawagin niya. Isa lang tao yung kakausapin niya lagi. Lalo na kung medyo needy yung mga customers. So, di ba natin maiwasan yun, di ba? From some point in our life, we've been a very needy customer na I wanted extra water or my water's too cold. My water is too not that cold. I needed plates. I needed extra utensils. I would want to transfer sa bagong seat. So, ganyan, di ba? Or naisipan mo mag-take out, magpa-additional orders. So, kanya-kanyang uh, hindi hindi lang naka-fix sa isang activity karaniwan si waiter. Okay, how about the cashier? So usually, the cashier collects the order from the waiters kasi ipapunch nila or they will encode it sa computer so that alam nila kung ano yung mga orders ni customer. Kasi sa end, before they would check the final billing ni customers kung saan bigay ni waiter kay customer at i-collect yung amount. And then, tsaka niya i-encode sa payment sa computer and ibibigay niya yung receipt and if there is a change, ibabalik niya. So, at the end, the cashier should balance the amount received for the shift. So, iba-iba din yan sa iba't ibang type ng restaurants. There are cashiers na directly, wala ng waiter, they collect the order, they punch the computer, and then pagka-punch pa lang nila, they would and get agad the payment directly from the customer, and then bibigay agad si receipt, tapos sometimes sila na din ang nag-a-assemble ng food. So, parang multitasking. There are cashiers naman minsan na ang trabaho lang talaga nila is nandoon lang, wait for the once na order, tsaka ka lang magbabayad, tapos hindi na kailangang magbigay ng billing sa huli. So pag automatic pay as you order, parang ganon. Okay, for the cook, so ito na-discuss na rin natin dun um, sa functional analysis natin. So ito yung karaniwan nilang flowchart. They collect the food, order from the counter. So pag binigay kay cashier, or from sa system, lalabas na siya, and then dapat alam niya na kung ano lulutuin niya. You would prepare the ingredients for the order, cook the order, and then check for food release. So, check yung checking na to, sometimes iba pa rin ang gumagawa. But if it's a small restaurant, si cook na din ang mag-check kung tama yung kanyang niluto for the food. So, iba din si chef at si cook. Sometimes, ang chef, taga-check lang talaga dun sa flow, and they have designated cook for each areas ng kitchen. So, observing the flow chart na pinakita ko kanina, hala, naharangan eh. Yep. So, each user also has connectivity with each other. Kung makikita natin, magkaka-connect pa rin sila. So, kunyari, si customer kaya siya nakikipag-interact siya kay waiter. Si waiter, nakikipag-interact siya kay cook pag kukunin niya na yung food, and then kay customer. And then, nagkipag-interact din pala siya, by the way, kay cashier. Ay, sorry, hindi to si cook. Si cashier ang kanyang ka-interact ni waiter. And then si cashier, ka-interact niya ngayon si waiter, and then sometimes the cook or the chef kasi ibinibigay niya yung order. So with analysis of each behavior and flow of users, designers can now create a plan which will help them do their activities smoothly. So ganyan mo ina-analyze ngayon yung flow chart to be able to create the space. Minsan, you would make up a scheme if syempre hindi mo tayo maiwasan, may limitations with the sizes, with the shapes. Pag naggawa ka na ng design and you were checking the flow, sometimes you have to compromise or you have to create a solution in order to still give the um, smooth flow ng activities kahit merong magkakaroon man ng konting hindrances or konting compromise pagdating sa actual space or dimensions. Basta ang goal natin is as much as possible, make it comfortable and make it smooth for the users. So how does architecture affect uh, the users? Paano ba natin naapektuhan si users natin in architecture? It impact the well-being of users. So, good architecture, syempre, good planning, good space planning. It means good flow of activities. So, ngayon si user, may ease of flow, ease of activities, ease of movements. So, ganado siya. Ikaw ba, gugustuhin mo bang magtrabaho ng hindi ka komportable? Una-una. Siyempre, di ba, pag hindi ka komportable, hindi ka nakakagalaw ng maayos. O one example, hindi man to sa design na, dun sa construction. Um, I have this client before. Recent client lang. Recently, but I already finished his house. Medyo metikuloso, and since senior, hindi siya nakakaalis because of the pandemic. So, lagi siya nandun sa bahay. So, ang nangyayari, napapansin niya lagi yung mga tao. And which is nung ini-interview ko yung mga tao, hindi kasi ako once na si client nagsabi, hindi ako basta, I would not jump automatically and magdadaldal, magagalit dun kay labor. I would ask muna, why did it happen or ano nangyari? So, the common things that they say, my people or my labor force, is hindi sila makagalaw ng maayos when he is watching. And then there's anxiety sa kanila na everyday pagpasok nila sa work, andyan na naman yung sisitahin or andyan na naman yung parang every movie there are someone watching. So it means that it's not a good workplace for them. So kaya ang ginawa namin, we push it na mapabilis ng matindi yung project so that makakaalis kami agad as early as possible doon sa site. So ganun ang kahit sa inyo siguro nung nasa face to face tayo when we do our plates, 'di ba nakaka-stress kapag nag-iikot si mom at sir, yung kapag alam mong parating na or yung kaklase mong ikot ng ikot tapos nakatitig dun sa gawa mo. 'Di ba? Hindi ka comfortable dun sa working space. Hindi ka nagiging komportable. So it impacts your well-being. Nawawalan ka ng gana. Emotionally, you're not that uh, hindi ka makapagtrabaho ng maayos or makagawa ng maayos. Ako na-experience ko din yan eh. Pagka nagdo-drawing ako before, talagang pag alam ko nag-iikot yung mga instructors, sila Architect Lamira, sila Architect Aguilar, what I do is, I have long hair, nilalagay ko lahat sa harap para di ako pansinin. Pero nangyayari kasi nga, weird din eh, bakit lahat ng buhok ko na sa harap, so lalapit pa rin sila. Wrong move. So yun. So, uh, architecture affects the user by impacting their well-being. So, nagkakaroon kasi if we ignore the psychological effect of built spaces, this might lead for occupants to think negatively and may lead to sick building syndrome. So kamukha na explain ko kanino. But in terms of spaces, yung bang tipong papasok ka every time sa isang area na nararamdaman mo na, ay, ito na naman yung parang feeling ko masastress naman ako. I will be overworked. Masyadong limited yung space, masyadong maliit. So, magkakaroon ka na ng ganun. And yung psychological effect niyan sa'yo is, ito yung tinatawag natin sick building syndrome. So, which means you are discomfort or acute health which occupants feel when spending time inside the spaces of a building. So, yung nandun ka pa lang sa isang space, nararamdaman mo na hindi ka masaya dun sa, or parang magkakasakit ka lagi. Kamukha nito, example, my sister, she's now work from home. She's working for a construction firm sa Manila as an estimator. So, since the pandemic, umuwi siya dito and she's working from home. So, ang nangyayari, nagiging productive daw siya doon sa Manila compared dito sa bahay. Una is our working space is parang basement kasi our house is split type. Parang multi-level, iba-iba. Nag-aabot-abot siya. So, medyo nakababa ng konti yung space namin sa study area. Tinatawag namin itong silong. So, it means parang basement siya. And then, sobrang dilim kasi nagtayo ng house sa likod yung sister ko. So, we have just like 2 meters setback from her house. So, ang dilim, walang source of light. Yung wind, so yung pakiramdam niya daw every time that she's working on her working space is parang lagi siyang tinatamad. Hindi ko lang alam, tinatamad lang din talaga siguro yung laging nagne-Netflix eh. Isa siyang army, lagi siyang nanonood ng BTS videos instead of working. But I think that's one psychological effect. Every time she's in our working space, lagi siyang may sick building syndrome. Aside from tamad talaga or procrastinator. Ito maingay. But, yun yung effect sa kanya nung compare dun sa actual setup niya sa Manila na nasa office siya, nakaharap siya sa ano. So recently, what I did is, since panggabi lang ako nakakapagtrabaho and then in the morning that I was needed to work, nandun ako sa room namin. I let her borrow my monitor. Eto, nandito ako sa workspace niya. So, I let her borrow my monitor. So, ang ginagawa niya ngayon is, um, parang medyo nabuhayan na siya. I let her borrow my ring light so medyo maliwanag. And then she has this big monitor screen. So parang na doon siyang nasa office setup kamukha nung dati. Kasi dalawang dual monitor and then um, uh, I let her have the good, a good ventilation sa tabi so that uh, medyo ma-feel niya na sipagin naman siya and hindi mo iwasan yung sick building syndrome. Pero talaga pag sobrang makulimlim at tag-ulan, hindi siya makapagtrabaho. So she has to go outside sa terrace. Yun. So that's how sick building syndrome sa isang lugar. Makikita niyo yung mga bata, they also have this, lalo na if they have trauma sa mga doktor, they do not want to go to clinics or hospitals, nagwawala na agad yan. So, yun yung matatawag nating sick building syndrome, which is ayaw nating mangyari sa buildings natin for the users. We want them to have, they want not only their physical well-being, but their also psychological, emotional, being, maging okay doon sa loob ng spaces na dinidesign natin. So, in general, in this whole lecture, ang masasabi ko lang is we should have um, we should always prioritize, or if you're going to choose user comfort versus aesthetics, mas pipiliin ko pa rin si user comfort. Kaya kung ano, mas tinitingnan ko si floor plan kaysa sa labas. Oo, nakaka-wow, maganda talaga yung magagandang design. But always make sure na comfortable si users at hindi lang maganda lang yung yung building mo, yung interiors mo. You have that impact na always strive for comfort. Siyempre, kahit ikaw din mismo naman siguro, you wouldn't want to spend a day or on a space na hindi ka komportable, di ba? So yun, that's it. So, thank you. So, this would be our last lecture for this until midterm. So, I would give you the next plate on this next video, and then I would allow consultations for the plates na mga plates na ibibigay ko until midterm. Okay, so thank you.